Good evening, everyone. I hope that you're doing well, taking care of yourself. So, I realized that I had designed this thing called the Give Take chart, and I hadn't shared it with very many people, and there's no real reason for me not to. So, yeah, the Give Take chart was something I designed a year ago, more than a year ago, at the request of my therapist. My therapist had I was having trouble because I was talking to her and I was telling her how I was feeling drained from giving to people all the time. I am a person who gives a lot in relationships, in friendships, and in most things. And what that means is that I don't always get as much as I give, which is a problem. Because it leaves me burnt out. And so my therapist suggested that I make a chart, and she didn't say to make it as elaborate as I ended up making it, but I made it anyway. And it's basically a chart that shows you who you're giving to and whether it's worth it to continue to give to them. So, if you are somebody who tends to give a lot in relationships, this is gonna help you. So I'm gonna open up the chart, and you can follow along if you follow the URL in the title, or if you follow this URL right here, bit.ly/give-take-chart. So this is the give-take chart. Now, I've cleared out everybody's names over here on the right-hand side, just so that, keeping people anonymous. But when you open it up, you would add people's names in here on this column A. And this will help you determine whether or not people are worth giving to. So, for example, this person A right here, I'm going to teach you how to fill out each column. So the give column is how much they give to you. The take out of a score of 100. The take column is a negative number, and it's how much they take from you. The intensity column is a scale from -100 to +100, and I'll get into that in a bit. And the magnetism scale is also a scale from -100 to +100. And right now the whole list is sorted by magnetism right now. So the give column is pretty self-explanatory. On a scale of 1 to 100, how much that person gives to you. And it's open-ended on purpose. It could be how much the person gives in their time, how much that person gives in their emotional support, how much that person gives in gifts. You should know what your love language is. That will probably help determine how much that person gives. So, for example, this person A right here gives 5 out of 100, which is super, super low. But they do give sometimes, so I gave them a score of 5 out of 100. So the next column is how much that person takes from you. And that's a scale from 0 to -100. And when I talk about someone who takes from you, think about it if, every time they call you on the phone, they're asking for something, and they never call you for any other reason. That person would have a very high take score. Or if, whenever you're talking to them, they're always asking you for some kind of favor. They're always asking you to do something. So if you put your boss on this list, they're probably going to have a pretty high take score. And it's important that you put this number in negative. All right, the next one is intensity. And this one's a little tougher to describe, but I think you're going to get it. So the intensity score is how intense that person is. So for example, this person right here, A, has a very low intensity score. That means that they do not bother me very often. So even though every time they contact me, they have a very high take score and they're constantly taking something from me, they don't bother me all that much. So their intensity is negative 50. Okay? So somebody could be really, really demanding of your time whenever they talk to you, but if you don't talk to them all that much, their intensity score would be pretty low. Conversely, let's check down here at W. This person has an intensity score of positive 90. That means that they are around me all the time. I am constantly talking to them. You're high on the intensity level? You could be. But, if, as you can see, their taking score is negative 10, so they don't take all that much, and their giving score is positive 70. So I don't really mind them being so intense and so constantly talking to me all the time at a 90. All right, so that's how much you can also talk about intensity, like how much attention that they give you, how often they're in your DMs, how often they call you, how often they email you, how often they comment on your social media posts, how often they email you. That would contribute to someone's intensity score. Also, if you saw them on the street or if you see them at work, that would contribute higher to an intensity score. No, I don't put kids. I haven't put my kids on here. But yeah, kids would probably have a very high intensity score too. Now magnetism, this is the fun one. Magnetism is also a scale from negative 100 to positive 100. Magnetism is basically how attracted you are to them. That doesn't mean romantically. That doesn't mean sexually, although it can. It's just in general how attracted you are to them. Because honestly, if you're more attracted to someone, you're going to put up with them a little bit more. Okay? It could be completely platonic. It could be, you know what, I really, really like hanging out with this person all the time. Think about it if you had 10 days, right? And out of those 10 days, how much, say you have a vacation of 10 days, right? And say how much of those 10 days would I like to spend with that one person? Then put that score out of 100. So for example, this person W, I would like to spend all 10 days with them. This person in the middle, M, I only would want to spend 3 out of the days with them. And this person down here has a negative 100 score. I don't ever want to be around them ever. This person, B, has a negative 50 score. I don't really want to be around them either, but it's a lot less intense. So that's magnetism. So when you fill out these, you only have, you put in somebody's name right here in column A, and you fill out how much they give out of 100, how much they take out of 100 negative, their intensity, negative 100 to positive 100, and their magnetism, negative 100 to a positive 100. And what this will tell you is it'll start to show on this chart right here how much you should be giving to any of these people. So right now I have everything sorted by magnetism, right? So if I look over here and look at the chart, I can see that the person on the right side of the chart, these last three, U, V, and W, have very high giving. They have very high intensity, and I'm also really attracted to them. And all of these things mean that these people on the end of the spectrum here These are the people I honestly should be investing the most of my time in. These are the people who really give back to me and really take the time out of their day to contact me, and they don't ask too much of me either. Now, there are also people on the other end of the spectrum, people over here who have a very, very high taking, and you can see that, some of them have really high intensity, but most of them don't give a whole lot, right? They're not contributing a ton to my life. And these are the people, honestly, that I can kind of start to cut out, which is, a hard thing to do for me because, I always want to think about the best of people and I always want to give to people. But if I'm feeling burnt out all the time, these are the people that I can invest in a lot less. And I can start investing in not only making sure that I'm spending a lot of time on these people at the top, but also, these people kind of in the middle. Because sometimes these people in the middle, even though they might have a pretty high taking point, they also have a pretty high giving point. And investing in these people might be a little bit better for you. But yeah, I use this chart all the time. I'm cutting you. No, I'm not cutting you. Yes, Tagrit, you are on the chart. And honestly, a good way to fill out this chart if you're having trouble figuring out who to add is to just go through your contacts. So, whoever texted, the top 20 people who texted you recently, add them to the chart, and see where they lie. Or the last 10 people who emailed you, add them to the chart. The top 10 people who just messaged you on Facebook, if you still use Facebook, add them to the chart. The top people who just DM'd you on Twitter, add them to the chart. And this is going to give you an idea of who's worth investing in. It's a really great tool. It is just a tool, that's right. It helped me a ton because I realized that, I had a bunch of friends who were not really giving a ton in my life. They were constantly asking me for favors. They were constantly, asking me to do things for them. But they weren't really giving me much. Honestly, I wish I'd known about this chart and built this chart earlier in some of my romantic relationships because, there were people I had crushes on, people I dated, people, that I was seriously involved with that would just take things from me all the time and contribute very, very little. I've talked about this on Twitter. I don't think that I've ever been spoiled on a consistent basis. I've definitely spoiled other people, but I haven't been spoiled. And so this chart will help you determine how to better manage those kinds of people, and really how to dial down the people who are on the lower end of the spectrum. Now you can also sort this a couple different ways. So if I sort it by intensity, for example, you can see that there are some very high intensity people who draw down a ton, but there's also some very low intensity people who don't take very much at all. So these low intensity people who don't take very much at all, they can just kind of hang around. It doesn't really hurt you or benefit you to take them off the charge. F them. We're gonna set up a circle of Legos around them. I like that. So here you can also sort by how much people give, and you can see the chart changes a little bit. And there's some people who give a ton. So like this person here, they give a ton, but they also take a ton. But because their magnetism is kind of low, I'm probably gonna give them a little less, right? Because I'm just not as attracted to them. Not in a romantic way. I just don't like being around them that much as I like, W and V and U and all these others, T. These other people, I like being around them more. So it's fine for me if they take a little bit more, because I enjoy their company and they add value to my life. They probably, you know, make me see things a certain way. They make me feel a certain way, and I really, really like them. But yeah, check out the chart. Make a copy of your own before you start adding names to it, because this is the public version. That URL that is on this screen right here, this URL. Make a copy of it, save it to your own Google Drive. But yeah, try it out. Let me know what you think, and yeah, I'd really, really love to hear how it changed your life. I actually ended some relationships using this chart. Cut some people off who just were not contributing positive things in my life. So it has helped me a lot. But anyway, this is a pretty short broadcast. I'm not going to stay on too long. But yeah, check it out. Let me know what you think. Love you guys. Peace, 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 peace.